everyone. We're here at the 21 Convention in Melbourne. This is our speaker. He's done a fabulous job today. So the couple questions I normally have just a few questions that I like to ask the speakers, but this guy, I have tons of questions, so if you haven't seen his speech, you should check it out. The first thing that I definitely want to ask you is, what should you be eating, and what you should definitely not be eating? Is there like a specific food that you should eat, and what that you shouldn't be eating?
Right, so specific foods that I always recommend people eat are things that are hunted, fished, gathered, and plucked. Basically, the way you want to think about it are natural foods. Okay? So again, things that are hunted, fished, gathered, and plucked, whether that be from an animal or animal products, things that grow from the ground, things that are fished, things that actually require the human body some energy to gather, if that makes sense. So in a real simple way. Another way to think about it is, would my grandmother have access, or would my great-grandmother have access to this food? So essentially things that have sexy marketing on them, or labels or anything like that, they're probably the worst type of foods that you can have. So to answer the other question about what foods should you absolutely be avoiding, it's any food that was once natural that has a lot of steps removed to being refined food and to being into that packet. So say, for example, potato grows from the ground. Potatoes great, but potato chips, not so good, yeah? So that's in a label, that has a label, that has marketing around it. Soft drink example, it's a food process. Yeah? You want to be eating things that are hunted, fished, gathered, and plucked. Natural foods all the way.
Great. So what's the difference between like a normal food and a common food?
Okay. So it really is, for me, normal food and common food are things that we socially have accepted as normal. So for example, it's not uncommon for you to go out to dinner and order a Coca-Cola. That is common food. However, it's not normal. And what I mean by normal is what's normal in relation to human physiology and what's normal in relation to human evolution. Now, 100 million years ago, or I was trying to say 100 million, 5 million years ago, 100,000 years ago, those foods were never in our environment. You know, there wasn't a Coca-Cola tree, right? Coca-Cola really lasts 100 years. So it's common, it's socially common for us to consume these foods, but it's absolutely not normal. So the foods, again, to relate back to point one, the foods that you want to be consuming are things that haven't been evolved in the last 100 years, that have stood the test of time.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. One, I'm out with friends at a restaurant, or if anybody's out at a restaurant, what's okay to order? What do I know that's safe to order?
Cool. So one of the quick tips I always give my clients is to say this little one line, and that's, I'm a celiac, and I'm also intolerant to dairy. The reason why I tell people to do that is because it's more socially acceptable for you to say, I'm a celiac, I'm intolerant to dairy, than it is to say, I'm on this health kick, and I'm trying to get in shape, and I'm trying to cut out my grains, and I'm trying to cut out my dairy. So people don't want to hear that. You're challenging their values of what they're eating, so they don't want to hear that. It's easier for you to say, I've got this medical condition, I can't have this, easy, right? So you say that to the waiter. So then generally what you're going to be ordering is a piece of meat, or fish, or chicken, so an animal source, and either a vegetable. As simple as that. And pretty much wherever I go, most places, cafes, restaurants are now, especially in Melbourne, gluten-free and dairy-free. And, you know, as simple as, can I have a steak? And instead of getting the potatoes, I might get some extra salad or some extra beans, whatever the case may be. But it can often be as simple as that. You just need to be good and learn to ask for what you want. Another example of that is when I went to a wedding, I said I was the key line, that I'm a celiac and I'm dairy-free. And I got this amazing three-course meal, and everyone on my table was looking at me and was like, how the hell did you get that food? And it's because simply, you know, if you cut out the grains, you cut out all the other food, people have to make you fresh food. And they can't make it out of the packet.
So if I want to get the best food in my area, what's a good place for me to go? Is there a specific store or farmer's market or something that I should go to get the best milk or vegetables or things available?
Yeah. So generally it's going to be area and even country specific. Okay, so I can say in Melbourne, or in Australia, what we're going to do is go on the web and type in Rotary's farmers markets, and therefore you can probably find a local farmer near you, whether it be produce or meat or whatever it is, and make friends. So I made friends with my beef farmer, and he raises grass-fed cow and all that. He delivers it to my house. So that's one tip. In Melbourne, again, the Queen Victoria markets. But the key thing to ask, more important than any of that, is to go into things like butchers. Obviously, supermarkets aren't the best place to shop. You know, they're just not. But if you go into things like your butcher and that, and you ask, is this grass-fed beef? Is this chicken? Where is this chicken from? And you ask them questions and see how they answer. And if you say to them, you know, is this grass-fed? And they look at you like a puzzled look, you probably know it's not the best place to shop. So just be a food detective and find out where your food actually comes from and how many steps it took to get onto your plate. That's what I recommend.
Great. So if people want to see more from you, where can they go to get your advice on more things such as my asking?
So they can go to my blog, www.maximusmark.com. We've also got a podcasting show on iTunes. It's just search in iTunes Maximus Mark, or you can go to maximusmark.com/radio to find that. We've also got a free download, which is at www.eatyourwaytoabs.com.au. They just enter their email into that. They can download the free ebook and audio and have a listen and see that. But the main one is maximusmark.com.
Great. You can also find them at the 21 Convention. This is Mary from the 21 Convention at Melbourne,